Hey, buddy. Did you find something to chew on? Are you happy? You would look at me like that. Yeah, what do you got there, buddy? Now that this unit's been unboxed, let's take a look at the manual that they send. And of course, they give a rundown of the parts that are supposed to be packed in there. I didn't check those. I'm going to assume they're all there. And then you get to the components for the hardware. And at first, I was a little concerned. I see this is 3.5 by 30 millimeters. There's 32 of those, plus 4. And then there's 25 millimeter. I thought, boy, it's going to be hard to pick those two apart. And when I grabbed the hardware, I realized that it's all individually bagged with different letters. So I don't have to go through and sort the hardware. So I think this is going to be a really simple install. Simply follow the instructions. All the parts are numbered. So for this first step, I'll be installing these rails, part number 18, onto these larger pieces using B screw, which is the 3.0 by 25 millimeter screw. So I'll go ahead and get that started, and should be able to work through this pretty quickly. It doesn't look like it's that complicated. So at first glance, I'm going to say this is a pretty easy DIY project. But let's go ahead and complete the build, and we'll see how it looks. So I think I've run into my first problem with this set from Wayfair. Now, it looks like my dog really likes the parts, and he helped himself to a piece of the puzzle here. So that piece is pretty much destroyed, so I think at this point I'm just going to let him have it. But I'll definitely need to keep a closer eye on the rest of this. All right, now I think I've recovered. I used the piece that Nico didn't chew as a template and was able to cut a piece out of a scrap piece of poplar I had here in the shop. So now we're back in business. It's not quite the exact same size, but I think it's going to work just fine for what we're doing here. I did pre-drill some holes so I wouldn't break the poplar with this first step. One. The next step is to get these front panels that go on the bottom of the front of the hutch in place. And I did notice that at the factory they gave me this nice pencil line someone drew on here. So I'll be screwing to just one side of this. The other side will have another panel that we'll add in another shape. Excuse me. I do need to line up this panel with this line. And this is where another set of hands or maybe a clamp might come in handy. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of hold this here best I can. I'll get the top screw in and then adjust the bottom. Now this kit did come with a screwdriver. I've elected to use a power drill. I think that'll make the job quite a bit easier. Just make sure that bottom one is lined up. It looks good from here. Go. And we'll go ahead and get the other side put on. Just want to make sure the rails that we added in step 1 are on the inside. And 2 more screws on this edge. Again, I'm going to line up this pencil line they gave us from the factory. Not too concerned about the bottom right now. I'll get that in just a moment. There we go. And now we'll go ahead and add the front on. This front comes with a little latch, a hinged door. So I've got the top edge of this front piece lined up with the top edge of the side piece. I'll go ahead and set the screw. And I'll do the same on the other side. So I want to make sure that this front piece and this line are matched up. So before I set this screw, I'm going to pull it over a little bit. Get that line lined up, and I'll go ahead and screw this home. And we'll do the same on the other side. This side here actually looks pretty good right now, so go ahead and get that screw in. And then the top piece here is a little bit thinner wood. It's just a piece of plywood. And this guy is going to go right here. So the next step here is going to be to add these little side wings onto the bunny house. So I'll go ahead and get that started. So the last step, big step in this process, is to put these trim pieces on the roof. And what I did notice is that one edge of the roof has this asphalt shingles goes over the edge. I'm going to want that to be the downside, and then the top where the ridge cap meets doesn't have that same, it's cut flush. So these pieces here, you want to line them up with the edge that has this shingle bent over the end of the wood. So we'll put that on and add 3 screws. That'll go there, and then we put the ridge cap on. There you go. That's going to be a nice looking top. So I'm going to line this top edge up with the very tip peak of the hutch. And if I get the front and the back equal distance, the pre-drilled holes will line up right into these top rails. And we simply add 4 screws. And I'll repeat this process for the other side. And for this side, I brought this top piece right flush up to the piece we already installed. And before I screwed this down, I wanted to check and make sure our ridge cap fits. And that will slide right on in place. So that all looks good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and screw down this roof panel. Those are in. Let's screw our ridge cap down. And the roof on these little wings here, it has a notch, and this notch fits right in between these 2 rails. So this guy should slide right in place. Hey, Nico. And again, we'll go ahead and add our screws here and lock that in place. Yep, no, please don't eat Alfie's house. Well, I've just finished the assembly of this chicken coop that I purchased from Wayfair. I'll be using this for a bunny this summer. I don't think it's really big enough for a chicken, but I think it's going to work well for our bunny Alfie. So this is the PT-CP17 is the model that I bought. It did come with this little screwdriver, although I would recommend using a drill with a screw bit on the end of it. Really speeds up the installation. Just be careful that you don't strip out your screw by overspinning it, because this is pretty soft wood. It took me about an hour from start to finish to put this together, and that includes the time to set up the different camera shots. So if you were to try this, I'd say probably take you between 30 and 45 minutes to assemble it. Pretty straightforward, all the pieces lined up. Not an heirloom piece, but it'll definitely do the job that we're asking it to do for a couple of summers for our bunny to be outside. All right, thanks folks. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. And here it is, put outside in a nice place along the edge of the house. And I think Alfie's on his way over. And of course, Nico wants to see what's going on too. Hey, Nico, come here, bub. Come here. Here, can you sit? Good boy. Okay, let's sit here, okay? I'm gonna let Alfie get into his new house. There you go.